Commissioner Boyd? Here. Commissioner Brownell?
Here.
Commissioner Coleman?
Present.
Commissioner Elder?
Here.
Commissioner Fowler?
Here.
And Commissioner Scruggs.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. At this time, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the April 21st meeting? Motion from Commissioner Ellender, second from Vice Chairman Grout. Are there any objections? Seeing none, these items have been approved. At this time, I'll ask Vice Chairman Grout to read in the rules for conducting public hearings.
Rules for conducting public hearings. This is a public meeting. Any interested member of the public who wishes to comment on an item in this agenda may comment in person at City Hall, 222 St. Louis Street, 3rd floor, room 348 during the meeting. Members of the public desiring to speak on a particular item should refer to a meeting agenda and complete necessary information prior to the meeting by filling out a request to speak form, indicating which item you wish to speak, upon which item you wish to speak, and place it in the designated location prior to the meeting. Applicant and applicant's representatives for the proposal will speak first for a total or combined period of not to exceed 15 minutes. Proponents will speak and then the opponents. Each speaker will not be allowed more than 3 minutes. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks by avoiding duplication of their presentations. The applicant will be allowed a total period of 5 minutes for rebuttal. Opponents will not be allowed to rebut. Items placed on the consent agenda by the Planning Commission staff will not have time allocated for speaking unless there is a member of the public at the meeting who wishes to speak on the item. In such cases, the proposal will follow the standard procedure. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we can move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Baldwin.
Consent items for deferral. Item 4, case 1325, 1482 Lobdell Avenue, to rezone property from single-family residential A1 to neighborhood commercial NC, located on the west side of Lobdell Avenue, north of LaSalle Avenue. Deferred to June 16th. Item 8, Cup 225 Timothy Hill Ranch, proposed philanthropic organization for foster care facility on property located on the east side of Charleston Road, south of Comead Acres Avenue. Deferred by Planning Director to June 16th. Item 10, S225 Stillwater Subdivision, proposed major residential subdivision with public streets located on the north side of Comead Drive, east of Plank Road. Deferred by Councilmember Kinney to June 16th. Item 14, CS625 Knoxon Fehrenbacher Tract, proposed flag lots minor subdivision located on the north side of Bueller Drive, north of North Flannery Road. Deferred by Councilmember Hurst to June 16th. Consent items for approval. Item 5, case 1425, 8031 Cypress Lake Drive, to rezone property from transition B1 to single-family residential A1, located on the north side of Cypress Lake Drive, east of Jefferson Highway. Item 6, PUD 507, Dawson Bluff Townhomes, The Grove, Final Development Plan, Revision 5. Proposed revision is from semi-detached to zero lot line and setback modifications on property located on the south side of the Grove Avenue and west of Creekview Drive. Item 7, PUD 125, Maple Cove Final Development Plan. Proposed low-density zero-lot line residential development on property located on the north side of Burbank Drive, west of Portola Avenue. Item 7, CUP 325, 5615 Corporate Boulevard for roof sign. Proposed roof sign is on property located on the north side of Corporate Boulevard, west of Energy Drive. Item 12, CS 425, Knoxon Fehrenbacher Tract. Proposed flag lot minor subdivision located on the south side of Greenville Springs Road, north of Flannery Road. Item 13, CS 525, Willie Schmidt property. Proposed flag lot minor subdivision located on the west side of Port Hudson Pride Road, north of Edwards Road. Planning Commission staff certifies that all of these items are consistent with the comprehensive plan and the Unified Development Code.
The Planning Commission office has received 4 messages in opposition to item 7, PUD 125 Maple Cove Final Development Plan.
Thank you. Commission members, you have heard all of the items that have been placed on the consent agenda that will be taken with one vote. Are there any members of the Planning Commission who have an item that they would like to be pulled from consent and heard as part of the regular agenda? Are there any members of the public present who would like to speak on an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion? Motion from Commissioner Addison, second from Commissioner Boyd. Are there any objections? Seeing none, these items have been approved, and we can now move on to the regular agenda.
Mr. Chairman, the next two items may be taken together, item 2 and 3.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. We will hear item number 2, Plan Amendment 225, 17050 Old Scenic Highway, and item number 3, Case 1525.
Yay, 225, 17050 Old Scenic Highway, related to case 1525. Property is located on the north side of Heck Young Road, east of Old Scenic Highway, Council District 1, Knoll. The applicant is Craig Corey. The current future BR land use designation is agricultural rural, with a requested future BR land use designation of industrial. The existing zoning is rural, with a requested zoning of light industrial M1. PA 225, 17050 Old Scenic Highway, related to case 1525.
Staff recommends denial of the plan amendment based upon the land use designation of agricultural rural appearing appropriate. Staff certifies that the proposed request would meet the criteria for a change of zoning if the comprehensive plan amendment is approved, being compatible with surrounding uses and conforming to Unified Development Code requirements.
The Planning Commission office has received 3 messages in opposition to these two items.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the public hearing and invite the applicant to speak for a period not to exceed 15 minutes. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Walker, here on behalf of 2 companies I'm an owner of. My name is, again, Jonathan Walker. I grew up in East Baton Rouge Parish. I was born in Baker. I went to high school in Baker. I have roots in this community. It's been my privilege to live in East Baton Rouge Parish my entire life. My businesses are currently based in Port Allen, and we are looking to expand. And like a lot of businesses, we have options, we have considerations, we have, frankly, competing considerations. But where we want to start is what is close to home. And for us, that is balancing our existing connections, if you will, to East Baton Rouge Parish, where both me and my business partner live, East Feliciana Parish, where we have an operating location, and Port Allen, where we have our primary location. The property under consideration is ideal for our purposes. It's adjacent to major roadways. It is suitable for development for a developer that can manage it. It does have some flood considerations. We are licensed contractors, of course. We would be building this property for our own purposes. The zoning, as referenced, the proposed zoning is light industrial. I wish that there was a lighter industrial, if you will, category. When people hear industrial, they think in terms of an applicant desiring to build large robots or looking to manufacture cars or something like that. Nothing of that nature would be involved here. You can think of it as extremely light manufacturing. My primary operating business, Dark Horse Industries, does concrete cutting, pile crushing. These are specialty applications within the deep foundation construction industry. Our business is very specialty. We're one of 3 companies in North America that do what we do, and frankly, we are successful at it. We want to continue that success here in East Baton Rouge Parish, and we think that this property, given these changes, could be a good fit to accommodate that. Again, the nature of the manufacturing going on is going to be building excavator attachments, building custom saw attachments, relatively light manufacturing, if you will. From the road, which would be about 350 feet back, it's going to look like a warehouse or a shop. From that distance, any noise would be mitigated to acceptable tolerance. Obviously, we wouldn't expect loud, prolonged noise, but even a loud burst of noise would be mitigated over that distance. The same is true for the adjoining neighbors, if you will, the occupied properties that are adjacent to the property. So all that's to say, we see tremendous potential in this property. We welcome any consideration. I will not be taking the entire time. I'll just note we do have support, of course, from the seller. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have support from the seller. We have support from the Metro Councilman, the Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Knoll. Again, we would not be here were that not the case. It is our sincere desire that if this process moves forward, we would want to be good neighbors and to, not be disruptive, as it were. So we welcome any feedback, and we know that process doesn't end tonight. Among other things, it starts tonight. Again, welcome any questions or feedback, and thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. We have one other, the only other speaker card in favor is for Craig Corey, the applicant, as I understand it. And again, he doesn't wish to speak, so we'll move on to the speaker cards from the public that are in opposition. Because there are quite a number of these cards, I would like to quickly reiterate, as the vice chairman pointed out, that we request that speakers limit their remarks and try their best to avoid duplication in the comments. The commissioners here take notes and whatnot and ask follow-up questions. So, once concerns have been brought out, you can, lightly touch on them, but we certainly don't want to belabor comments that have already been made and elaborated upon. With that being said, I would like to welcome our first speaker to the podium, Robertine Bruns. Good evening. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Good evening. I took the liberty to get some information on rezoning, and these are the things I found out. I've lived in the area since 1979, and the changes have impacted us already. There are at least 4 upcoming neighborhoods in the area that would impact our area with traffic. These are the things I found about rezoning. It says that the proposed zoning change and the potential of a resulting and land use change will comply with the general public interest and welfare and will not create, 1, undue congestion of streets and traffic access, 2, overcrowding of land or overburden on public facilities such as transportation, sewage, drainage, schools, parks, and other public facilities. Now, because there are neighborhoods and we are in an area where there are lots of children, it's going to impact us because the children have to ride the bus to school. They are retired people like me who like to move around in the middle of the day when there's less traffic. That's going to bring more traffic. The other item that it said, land or building usage, which is or may become incompatible with existing character or usage of the neighborhood. An industrial building does not complement a neighborhood. As a matter of fact, in the zoning directions, this is one of the things that's pulled out. If you gotta call it something else, then it's definitely not compatible with neighborhood living. So I speak against this. I've lived in the area since 1979. People have brought things in that impacts my very breathing, the pollution, and all the things that come along with that. So I ask you to vote against it.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next card is for Leroy Shanklin. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, Leroy Shanklin. I live in the neighborhood ever since 1974. And some of the things she said, but one of the things is we got kids that travels on the buses. And when they travel on the buses, and then people's coming in from work from the subdivision that's being built already, and then you're bringing another, not even a subdivision in there, that's going to create a problem for the traffic. So one of the things I voted against, I hope you all vote against it, is that it's going to create more of a problem for the people that lives in that neighborhood, which is myself and all the other people that live in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Daniel Ripto. Is Daniel Ripto here? No? Okay, we'll move on to our next card for Christy Ripto. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm Christy Ripto, and I've lived in the neighborhood for 17 years. I'm in Abundance Place. And Abundance Place is one of the few African-American neighborhoods within Baton Rouge where the property value has increased. It doesn't happen in the Baton Rouge area, but it has for us. And so I'm approaching it from the standpoint of, in Black areas, we are at a disproportionate advantage where property value historically goes down because of projects like this. This rezoning not only will impact our property value, as been stated, but also from a health perspective. We have a lot of older individuals in the neighborhood, and if you're talking about industrial, the dust, if you're crushing things, and it's going to adversely affect our health. And so I ask again that you take into consideration, like I said, what rezoning in African American neighborhoods have done in the past, and consider that we don't want our property value to go down, and this will definitely affect that. I had written some other things down. I guess they've, again, said the things that I wanted to say. So please take into consideration that we definitely oppose it because of the long-term social and economic consequences that a project like this will have on our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card would be for Eleanor Stewart. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Eleanor Stewart, and I'm a recent resident of the Heck Young Old Scenic area. I've lived in Baton Rouge all my life, and the area I grew up in was zoned industrial. After buying a home in that area, a part of the area was a cow pasture, and then it was then changed to a Ronaldson field that brought lots of debris, lots of dust, and all kinds of things to the area. So as we got older, my husband ended up getting cancer from the pollutants that was in that industrial area that we were living in. My grandson was being raised by us. He ended up with nasal polyps from the pollutants that was being brought in that industrial area. So when I retired, my husband purchased for me a home in a nice, quiet, clean, seemingly unpolluted area so that we can breathe freely, feel comfortable, live in peace, and not have the noise, debris, and heavy traffic that we had lived in for over 30 years. So now that we've been there for just over a year, we get information that they want to rezone that area from rural to industrial, whether light industrial, whatever you want to call it. If you rezone it to industrial, there's lots of other property there that other industries may want to purchase and put industrial things in our residential area where we were looking for an improved quality of life and not something that was going to set us back to where we were for the last 30 years. So I ask that you vote against changing this from a rural area to an industrial, light industrial, whatever you want to call it. I'm opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Etta Hearn.
Hello, I'm Etta Hearn, and I live on Old Scenic Highway. I've been there for probably about 30 years now. I chose that land a long time ago, and I built my house there, and I've been very happy there. I've raised my child there, my grandchild, and other family members have come to live with me there. It's a very peaceful community. It's a very quiet community. but it is a predominantly Black community, and it's a very nice community. We spent money building our houses, and we take pride in maintaining our residences and our yards as best we can. The other day, I came home, and there are many reasons that I'm against this operation, but more importantly, and one of them is the accidents that are on Old Scenic Highway. So when I came home about 3 or 4 days ago, there was an accident, and so I slowed up. The deputies had everything blocked off, and then I realized as I got a little bit closer, it was in my front yard. So I was able to get off that road, go around, come back, and come through my neighbor's yard and get to my house. It was a pretty bad accident. So I see this, any kind of industry coming there. We're right down from that corner of Old Scenic Highway and Heck Young. And it's busy, but it's residential busy. But when you bring in the big trucks and all those kinds of things, we see it as been a nightmare. And in truth and in fact, it could very well be because people are coming in and out. So I'm against it, of course, for that reason. The other is that I think it will be offensive to us in our neighborhood because of the noise and for any other things that normally come from industry, particles in the air and all those sorts of things. And then sometimes I know when I built my house, the city parish required that I bring it up about 12 feet. The day we were to start building, I came home that evening and the contractor had a pink ribbon up in the tree, and I said, why is that there? He said, well, the city came out today and say, now you're going to have to start your floor up there. I said, well, how do I get my floor up there? He said, well, Etta, you're going to have to bring in dirt. So I brought in 300 loads of dirt. Then I went back to my architect and I told him, he said, well, Etta, I'm going to have to design pilings in your ground. So I had to spend more money at 48 pilings.
You have about 20 seconds, ma'am.
Yes, sir, and I build those. So I'm for whatever the commission feels is good for our community, but when it is not, it's just not, and that's why we're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next card is for, I apologize if it's kind of hard to read. Is it Datha Tynes? What's the name, man? I feel like I messed it up.
That's Dathan Times.
Dathan Times. Okay,
Yeah,
I
nice
apologize.
to meet you guys.
3 minutes, sir.
So, the group over here already discussed a lot of the points that I wanted to say as well. So, the unsightliness, the safety risk, we already have construction that's on the other end of Hick Young Road that's unsightly, bringing in traffic that's tearing up the roads. We still seeing that. I'm just a recent resident of 5 years, but I was hoping to get some long tenure as well. Me and my family, we do real estate investing, we do business on the side, so I'm not trying to knock what another guy's trying to do as far as his business, but we don't do anything to impact other communities adversely. So with that, I hope that you guys vote no.
Thank you, sir. Our next card is for Maynard Brooks.
All right. Thank y'all for having some time to speak with us and everything, but I've been on Heck Young Road for approximately 9, going on 10 years, and I moved up there for mainly the same reason a lot of my neighbors moved up there, for the quietness, the fresh air environment. The dark horse industry, I'm sure it's a great industry and everything, good company and everything, but this is just not set up for industry in this area. It would be the only industrial in the whole area there. Homes, apartments, new homes, there's 3 new subdivisions going up right there. So this is just not inducive. So anybody who's even considering this wouldn't be a good choice for the neighborhood. Also, I'm talking about the NARS. The gentleman said there's going to be saw cutting and heavy industrial, and that's a noisy area, and he's got open wooded areas around him now. But if someone was to choose the property value to sell that property to build a home, then they would have to deal with that noise situation, the sawdust situation. It's just not conducive for construction or industry in that area. It's obvious for a lot of obvious reasons there. Also, I'd like to speak to the racial issues that's coming up in that area. It's a primarily black community, but like in a lot of other communities, we heard about them on TV all the time. The Wall Street issues, other things in other states and everything about, you know, how these black communities are started doing very well, then all of a sudden they start going down for some reason. This is one of the reasons when we take industry and pop it in the middle of a nice, well-developed community. And as far as I'm concerned, race is not a big issue. We can have white people, black people, it don't matter to me, just as long as everybody's taking care of their property. And to let industry go into it just would not be conducive for this whole area for a number of different reasons. I can't name them all. But also, I don't believe a study's been done for this regard for the traffic and the safety situations in this area. Lights, sidewalks, extra curbing, drainage issues. There's so many things that hadn't been considered for this issue right here. So I'm urging everyone on this board to vote no on this until at least a real study's been done, and then to keep everybody informed. We had I just noticed a sign out there like maybe 2 weeks before this meeting. It's not appropriate, and then the sign says about 300 yards, 300 feet notice.
15 seconds, sir.
I said, what is that? We need to notify everybody within a 3-mile radius is going to be impacted by this issue right here. And I'm just asking you guys to strongly reconsider this, and my vote would definitely be a no in all categories for as letting this type of industry come into this area. Doctor's office.
Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, you're out of
would be
time.
great, but not this industry.
We appreciate the comments. Thank you. Absolutely. Our next card would be for Roy Stewart Jr. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir. All right.
I feel like Barack Obama when he said, I don't want to have to come after Michelle. My wife did an excellent job. Thank you, baby. But I'm Roy Stewart. That was my wife, Eleanor. My man, Allison. You know I've been fighting for years with that dump in Allison. I'm the one that had cancer. What we do is going to be traffic problems. We already, if you leave out in the morning, you can't make a left turn on the scenic highway. You leave out in the afternoon, you can't get out of there. So all this is going to do is make it worse. And like my wife said, we got so much other area that's not developed on that street in that area. So if you approve this, what to keep from other things coming in and destroying our area? Like with Allison, Mr. Allison, when I was in Allison on Wraith Mile Road and they brought the dump, they said it's going to be there 7 years. We going on 37 years. It's still there. So I have no faith in when they say, oh, that's all we going to do. I have no faith in that whatsoever. So I am against it. We, at our golden years, we finally get somewhere where we can live our life out, and here we go again. And like my neighbor said, we try not to go race thing, but how this always keep coming to black folks? How we always got to fight to have fresh air and a beautiful place to live. So that's all I have, and I'm against it.
Thank you, sir. Our next card is for Chanel Myers. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you. I represent a different representation. I represent representation, my legacy, my great is Heck Young himself. Then my family I grew up on Heck Young. I left, moved to Chicago, came back. I gutted my mom's house and reinvested on Heck Young. So I represent a generation of continuous investment in what we consider to be our family investment, our community investment. It was funny because I hadn't forgotten what a star looks like until I moved to Heck Young. I was amazed at being able to look in the sky and see stars. When we say that we are going to just bring this small industrial company into it, it's hard to say, but this is what we've heard before. Recently, we were told they were going to bring a tire burning plant to the end of Heck Young, right during COVID time. That was squashed. and now we're bringing a smaller industrial type. It's continuous attraction. I understand what the attraction is because of the location, which is why we invested in Heck Young, because we are attracted to the area. But we're attracted to the area for our family investment. We're attracted to the area because our financial investment is in our family and in our property. We're all about making money, but we're also into making long-term investments that last beyond a building. It's part of our legacy. So I'm asking for the no vote because of the fact that that will affect our legacy. It will affect our long-term investment that goes beyond the generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Timothy Williams. You have the floor for 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Just want to say I am part of the legacy that Ms. Myers just talked about. My family has been there since 1978, and we've had to fight various issues for instance, she did state about the rubber plant, then a tire plant, and everything is always against this. But here's what I want to reiterate. It is an affluent community by those who have been kissed by nature's son. It is a wonderful community. It is a wonderful community with kids and children. So why would we disturb the sanctity of that community for something on the outside to come and tear it up? And we know that that has been the case in various issues. But I'm not against any man trying to make a living. However, at the demise of a community that has been established, that has been there for quite some time, and all of my neighbors, they've all stated it, and some have been there way before I ever came. But the point is, we're asking you to please do not vote for this because, again, why would you tear up a beautiful community for $1?
Thank you. Our next card is for Rosia Edgar. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosina Edgar, and I live in Abundance Place. My husband and I, we moved there almost 40 years ago. And I would like to ask you, would you please not vote for industry? Because we, as a community, we've worked hard all our lives to build our home and have a nice place to live and to leave something, a legacy for my grandchildren so that they could have a nice, clean place to live. We want to have clean air and live peacefully in a community just like everybody else here. So ask yourself the question, would you like to have industry come into your neighborhood? Think about that. Because I am opposed to it, and I think it just would be a slap in our face. Because everybody here have worked hard to build their homes and have a nice place to live. And you work hard, you pay your taxes, and who's gonna wanna pay taxes? And Zachary taxes is very expensive. You know, if you come in and destroy what we have, what's been established, and the Lord has blessed us, and we trying to take care of our blessings. And with that said, I ask, would you please not vote for that? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Deborah LeBlanc. You have the floor for 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Deborah LeBlanc. I live about 350 yards from where he's proposing this construction type yard. My biggest concern right now is flooding. I flood like you would not believe. I'm already in a battle with the state because the water from the main highway washes into my yard and it creates a river. That has not been fixed yet. And it is a problem. We're in the highest flood zone. I think it's flood zone A. Nothing has been addressed to reduce this flooding. I have to keep repairing my bridge because the runoff from Old Scenic Highway comes right into my yard. I'm a mile below the highway is what they tell me. My house was built prior to the zoning regulations. It got to be so many feet high like Etta's. Mine's not like that. So I cannot tolerate any other burdens, especially industrial coming over there. The noise from the highway is already aggravating. But to have an industrial plant, my house sits on 10 acres. When I sit in the back, I see it's beautiful. But if I got to listen to pile driving, heavy equipment, dust and noise, why even bother to stay there anymore? The tranquility is gone. Do you understand? My house is about 5,000 square feet, $500,000 or more. You don't put that across the street from a home like that. I grew up across from a lumber yard. I do not desire to live next to an industrial industry. I smell wood burning every day as a kid. I enjoyed it. It was in the woods, but I don't want that now. And I shouldn't have to have that. We have 3 new neighborhoods coming up on Old Scenic Highway. Less than a half mile both ways, despite the fact that you only notified people within a 300 square foot radius. I put my boots on the ground Friday, and I went to every place, in Abundance Place, and up and down Scenic Highway. Thank y'all for coming, by the way. But I really need you to consider this. Zachary is a very nice neighborhood, a growing community. Old Scenic Highway is growing by leaps and bounds. We have $1 million homes on Heck Young. Do you hear me? $1 million homes. We do not want this. I'm small business. I was small business for 35 years.
Ma'am, if you could address your comments to the commission.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was
You have
small
about 40
business, and I
seconds.
had no problem with that. But I don't want it in my neighborhood. He can go up by Jetson Correctional Center. They got a lot of undeveloped property there. Old Scenic Highway is definitely, Heck Young is definitely undeveloped. And when you rezone, you open the floodgates for other industries to come. 20 years from now, they may put another plant. You never know. Please do not pass this. I love my neighborhood. I'm a lifelong resident of Zachary. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next card is for Patricia Moore.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here, and I'm going to say everything that has been said by all the people of Zachary that are here. I'm not going to duplicate what they said because it too affects me. But I'm going to ask that you vote no on this zoning area, because I too have grandchildren who are growing up. The traffic is bad, the air is bad, and we've had issues with mailboxes being torn down, cars ran across the yard, and it's dangerous for our children. I have watched children get off the bus, and cars go to the right side on the shoulder of the bus, and that's very dangerous for our children. Traffic is horrible, and I'm going to ask that you vote no for this zoning area. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you listening to what we have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next card is for Scott Campbell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I had a whole speech. I wrote a letter. It's very much the same what you've heard, but I want you guys to look at these faces over here. These people didn't leave their homes tonight to come up here because they had nothing better to do. I'm new. I'm not even from Louisiana. My wife is. But we chose this area because of people like this. We chose to buy land and build a home from the ground up. If there was an industrial plant or some factory or something like that in this neighborhood, I wouldn't even bought a home here. So I've just completed building my home, and now I'm gonna have to deal with some type of industrial plant, or, again, I'm not exactly sure. I just know that they're not building another home. Everybody here that you've heard over and over is talking about their home, their children. You guys all have homes and children, and I don't think any of you would vote to have whatever they're trying to build here next to your house. So why do it to us? I built a forever home. I plan to live and die right there on that property. But I don't want to be killed. I just want to live in peace. I just want to have a nice home, my children, my grandchildren. I'm making plans now for my grandchildren to play on my property. I don't even have grandchildren. But why would I want them to come if I have something like this down the road from me? I'm on Heck Young. I don't know if you guys have even been there. That's something that I want you all to think about. I don't need you to raise your hands, but if you haven't visited this area and you're just looking at it on the map, if you haven't visited it lately and seen what some of my neighbors have built, she talked about $1 million homes. These homes are amazing. People drive down the street and they drive 10 miles an hour just to look at the new homes that have been going up. Why would we change that? I just don't understand why we're even here. Why would we change something that's working so well for the people in this room? Just for $1? Just for somebody to come work in our neighborhood and then leave and go to their house? Because they're not going to live there.
You have about
They're just
20
gonna,
seconds, sir.
I can read, I
Okay.
can see it. But they're just going to come there, do some work, tear up the place, and then drive back to their home and their community, enjoy their peace and tranquility. I want to do the same. I just want to go, like she talked about the stars. I'm from Los Angeles. We don't even see the stars with all the smog. But I see them now, and I want to keep them.
All right, you're out of time. Thank you, sir.
That's all I needed.
We have several additional speaker cards that are in opposition but do not wish to speak. I'll read those names in quickly for the record. Corey Hatfield Jr., Johnny Davis, Carlton Allen, Marvin Moore, Cheryl Fuson Williams, Bernard Williams, Harold Robinson, Shiara Campbell, Beverly Campbell, Walden Croft, Anita Taylor, Lance Phillips, Nolinda Stafford, and Jonathan Rose. At this time, I'll invite the applicant back for a 5-minute rebuttal.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, again, Jonathan Walker with Dark Horse. If I may, it won't be so much a rebuttal, it's just a few clarifications. Respectfully, I'm sincere in having heard and having listened and frankly having believed what has been presented in opposition to this. A lot of the things that are attractive about this property have been testified to. It is a beautiful area, and you can tell that it's an area where people take pride in their property. That is rare. And it's not, if we were looking for an area that was as cheap as possible, we would be looking at different properties. It was mentioned, for example, that Jetson is just down the road, and that's true. For those of you who may not have familiarity with this area, the 964 from Highway 61 to Highway 64, which is Church Street, is about 6 miles. Heck Young is almost exactly halfway up, about 3 miles from 61 and 3 miles from 64. On both, especially on the 61 end, there is a lot of undeveloped area. We are looking for an area that we take pride in our work, we take pride in our assets. We're frankly looking to be in an area where other people do the same, where we won't have any issues with our neighbors. I was sincere when I said that if we move forward, if it's the pleasure of this commission to move this forward, to be good neighbors. I don't say that lightly. Like everybody else in this room, I live in East Baton Rouge Parish. What's bad for East Baton Rouge Parish is bad for me. I don't want to see that happen. And to be clear, I'm not looking to contribute to any of the concerns. Real briefly, traffic was mentioned multiple times. If I failed to speak well on this point, it's my fault, and I apologize. Estimated traffic loads for this facility is submitted to DOTD, the studies like drainage that have already been submitted. We're talking about 8 to 10 vehicles a day. We're not talking about the hundreds that you would see with a neighborhood or the hundreds that you would see with a school. We're talking about enough vehicles that you can count on two hands. And again, that's just during the weekdays. For those of you who may not have a familiarity with the area, I won't speak as if I'm an expert on Heck Young Road. There are, I want to say 30 people in this room that know Heck Young Road, maybe 50 people in this room that know Heck Young Road better than I do. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. I will just speak to the particular property in question. If you or if any of you were to go out there, you would see it is, I believe the word undeveloped was used for it. That is a very fitting word for it. It is a mud hole currently. It is surrounded by woods on all sides, excuse me, on the two sides that aren't at the intersection. It is wooded on both sides. It is not well suited for development unless somebody is willing to invest in it. The sort of investment that would take place if this were to proceed, which is in order, you dig out, you excavate, you create a drainage plan where there is a dry fill area where you're not contributing to drainage, you're not contributing to flooding, you're contributing to drainage. This would be an attractive facility. This would be $1 million, $1.5 million facility with a lake out front. This is not going to be a blight. This is not going to drag down property values. This would increase property values and surrounding economic development. That's my commitment. If I wasn't comfortable committing to that, I wouldn't be here. That being said, I was sincere when I said that I believe the testimony that's been given in opposition. It's perhaps it's my fault for not having headed off some of this in the past to communicate this better. But being here, I'm trying to communicate our intent to do right by the area, to do right by the neighborhood, and to continue the development of what is already a very, very nice space. Need to make sure I didn't miss any notes. Oh, one thing that I know I misspoke on is failing to differentiate between what my company builds and what we do actually do on site. We build saws, we build crushers. We are not sawing on site. It's not like we're a sawmill or that we're a crushing plant. We're just building the contraptions that you take to Texas to do the sawing and the
About
crushing.
30 seconds, sir.
Thank you, sir. Again, for anybody who hasn't had the benefit of going to this area, I echo what's been said. I encourage you to go to this area. It is a very nice area. From this property itself, if you go to this property, if you stand on this property as I have, you can see a few houses, absolutely. I'm not diminishing that. But for anybody that has the wrong impression, this is not in the middle of what most people would consider like a subdivision. By all means, it's a community, it's a neighborhood. But
okay. Your time has expired. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners.
Absolutely. Commission members, at this time, I will close the public hearing and invite any questions or comments from the commissioners. Vice Chairman Grau.
Can the applicant come back up for a second? You had made some mention in your opening statement that you had the support of the local councilman?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
You're sure about that?
The Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Knoll, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yes. Come.
You may want to stay readily available, sir.
I will.
My question is, you said you heard, you listened, you believed. I'd like to know, have you had a community meeting with these families? That's one question. And then someone alluded to study done, and I'm sure what they're talking about is a study to take a look at the concerns that they, would have with the flooding, and you did mention about the traffic, but with the dust, with the noise. So talk to me about that, please.
Yes, Madam Commissioner. And if I fail to address every single one of your points, please call me out on it. I'm not trying to avoid anything. Okay, so first off, to the point, let me go out of order. Okay, so first of all, for dust, the most typical dust you would see, especially anything that would go outside the four corners of the property, would just be roadway dust. The property itself, and if it's helpful for the understanding, I have a small schematic of how the facility would be situated within the property. It would be set off from the road by about 350 feet from 964. That would be to its west, and approximately 400 feet from Heck Young to its south. Dust is going to be very well mitigated. Again, it's just the traffic. We're not crushing anything. We're not sawing anything on site. We're not producing dust, if you will. It's going to be accommodation, office, warehouse, mostly just housing equipment within a large, attractive red iron building. But most of the daily traffic will be associated with office personnel. Noise, I'm not going to lie to this commission and say there won't be any noise ever. That wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be reasonable. The sort of noise you might see would be like diesel generators turning over, or welders kicking on. Again, and I'm not a sound expert, but for example, if that's say 100, 120 decibels, by the time you get to the roadway, that 120 decibels would be mitigated to 60, 70 decibels, which is about the same as I made notes about that, like a washing machine running. And of course, again, that's also, it might be drowned out or complemented or comparable, I should say, to what you already see in terms of traffic noise. In terms of the studies.
Before you respond, very quickly, point of clarification, Commissioner Coleman, this is something I asked Director Holcomb about in terms of the studies where they would be in the process. And my understanding is that noise, traffic, drainage, those studies actually wouldn't have occurred at this point in the process for rezoning. And Director Holcomb, please feel free to expound on any of that.
Certainly. Just to add some clarity, these two items being considered tonight are just, the first item is a plan amendment, so it's a land use plan amendment consideration with a companion rezoning. And this body is tasked with voting whether or not these two items are appropriate in these location. That recommendation is not the final decision or determination by any means. It's simply a recommendation on to council. That tentative council date is Metropolitan Council zoning on June 18th before the Metropolitan Council body. Again, this is just a recommendation. The question was whether or not drainage studies or traffic impact studies are done at this stage, and there is not a requirement. There's no city parish requirement for applicants to do that. This is simply a land use and zoning decision or recommendation tonight. There is additional drainage studies and detailed stormwater plans at the site plan and permitting level. Traffic engineering and the traffic engineering division and department does a traffic analysis. But again, that's not at this stage of the development. Tonight, it's simply a recommendation on the zoning and whether the land use change is appropriate or not.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right.
You good?
So what about the community meeting? Is that?
He can respond. I think I cut him off as he was getting ready to discuss the study component. So you can address
Absolutely.
the other questions, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Director. Yes, so for the community meetings, no, ma'am. I do not own the property yet. In fact, this is getting the zoning application, getting the ability to make use of this property if we do acquire it. This is one of the steps along the way to purchasing the property. To your point, no, I have not had any community engagement meetings. I don't want to say I'm glad to because I don't want to seem flippant. I am willing to. I am serious about engaging with the community. I know enough to know what that means, that it's not just one conversation, but listening to concerns, finding ways to mitigate impacts. For example, one of the things that Councilman Knoll had talked to me about whenever we talked about this project is that I need to be prepared to listen to the community if there are investments that would go towards defraying some of these concerns. The example he gave, I don't know if this is the best example, but the example he gave was intersection lighting improvements. If us developing that intersection, or excuse me, that property at the intersection Putting in intersection lighting improvements would help demonstrate our good faith, that we're there to be good neighbors, not just leeches on the land. We would certainly be open to do that.
Did that address all of your questions, Councilman Coleman? Thank you, sir. Commissioner Addison, I believe, has some questions as well.
You said how many feet? You said you're from Heck Young. You kept describing the two intersections, 61 and up to 964. I think you referred to. How close are you to the actual neighborhood?
So from the measurement of the proposed building to Heck Young Road would be approximately 400 feet.
Okay. I thought you said 300, but that's fine. I know what we have in this body is that we concern ourselves with the future potential when you talk about zoning. While your project may have a minimum impact, but if it don't survive and you sell the land, then they're still left with what can be an industrial zoning. And generally, we try to look at how we impact the actual neighborhood that currently exists. And when these neighbors keep talking about their homes, their investments, the length of time they've been there, their legacy, that is a great concern, because the fact of them, not just the price of their homes, $1 million homes and whatever, right, but an established neighborhood for well over 40 to 50 years, the impact that could be left there. If you come in, you do 2 years, and you decide that you're gonna sell it because your business don't do well in that area, whatever you might be doing, that zoning still remains. And I think that's a part of why the staff is recommending denial, because what we did in our studies here to try to identify future land use is very important. You know, we want to try to stick to that, because if we don't, we can end up having a hodgepodge of a lot of development that's going on that is not really desirable, or it's not what the planning staff has taken years and years and years to put together.
Yes, sir.
It's a little unfortunate that, certainly I understood you say you had the councilman's support. The first thing the councilman probably would have done, and usually had done, is that he meets with the neighbors. I mean, he try to meet with neighbors and have the developers to meet with neighbors, because you incur an expense, and your expense starts to build as you get deeper into the project. And if these residents have raised some of these concerns of you when you first started getting into the project, then you can try to determine whether or not this is a fit for you, right, and not get this far into the project to get before this body and have over 50 residents who stand here and voice their concerns. And as a developer, as a landowner, and a business owner, you want to know what those concerns are, so you can determine what your obstacles are and how you overcome those obstacles.
Yes, sir.
So again, I think that would have been quite helpful. And finally, working with the staff is another hurdle, you know, because they have done 15, 20 years of studies, and we've gone back and forth with companies that would like to be in certain neighborhoods of Baton Rouge or the parish of East Baton Rouge, and they've had the unfortunate ability to have to tell them as a staff development that staff employees that won't fit in that neighborhood. And again, you would have gleaned a different take if staff had started telling you very early on, we don't think that's going to work in that neighborhood for us, not for the neighbors, not for the residents, not for the corporation, but for this staff. So again, I find it most unfortunate that certainly I'm not going to be able to support your project. It sounds like it's the kind of project that might fit somewhere. I just don't think it fits here. And that's a little unfortunate. I don't think it fits here.
If we could ask people not to do that, we want to maintain order. We appreciate you.
So again, I do appreciate what you've done. I appreciate your meeting with the pro tem, Mayor President pro tem, as well as the staff here. But again, as a member of the commission, I'm not going to be able to support your item. I appreciate your help.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Addison.
Are there any other speakers, Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry?
Are there any other speakers right now?
I was trying to see, are there any additional comments from the commission?
I'd like to make a motion to deny.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to deny this item from Commissioner Addison. Is there a second to that motion? Well, let me see if there's a second. There's a second from Commissioner Coleman,
Okay.
and I believe there's some additional discussion, Commissioner
Yeah,
Grau.
I've listened to this. One of the things I did while the discussion was taking place is I went and looked at what M1 is. My problem is not specifically with what you want to do with this project. It's what, if this is rezoned, you all sell, find another opportunity, doesn't go well, what else this could be used for. This is not, in this area, this is not, I just don't see it as appropriate. I believe that what staff has said is correct. This is, I actually drove up there the other day, and I apologize if I didn't get as far as y'all's neighborhood. I just drove around the property. But it's just, eventually, maybe this 50 years will get developed. I don't know. But I think it needs to stay where it is. Having said that, I believe that you said the council person has made, you don't need to stand up, but the council person has made some comments. I have not talked to the council person. But to be perfectly honest with you, I hope this doesn't go very far, but I think it at least needs to go to council and let the council decide this. I think if we let it go with a recommendation of denial, that's fine. I'm going to be the one vote to send it to council, but please understand, I am doing it because council needs to hear this and needs to hear your voice too. Because they're the ones who, we make recommendations, they make votes. And I think they need to hear your voice. And I think if all y'all show up at a council meeting and let, let Mayor Pro Tem Knoll know, I think that will go a great, that will go far. I also think it gives you time, Mr. Applicant, to meet with this community to see if there's something you all can do to come to some arrangement before that time. I don't want to see I don't want to see this parish throw an opportunity for jobs and for creation and for manufacture. I just don't think this is the right place for it, but I think council needs to hear that, and I think they need to hear from the good people here. And I think it gives you an opportunity. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I think you're equally as a good person. I'm saying this is an opportunity for you to meet with them. The fact you didn't have a community meeting doesn't matter whether you own the property or not. These are the folks you're going to live with after you own the property. You need to talk with them, and they need to hear from you. So, I'm going to be I think I'm going to be the only vote to be in support. I'm not really in support. I'm doing this to send it to council. So please understand, ladies and gentlemen, I am supporting you, but I think the council needs to hear you. So, I'll be the only vote in support.
Thank you, sir. Commission members, there is a motion on the floor from Commissioner Addison to deny this item. That motion received a second from Commissioner Coleman. There's one noted objection for the aforementioned reasons from Vice Chairman Grout. Are there any additional objections or any need for additional discussion? Seeing none, those items are denied. At this time, we'll move on to item number 11. CS 325, Johnny W. and Sabra G. Turner Tract.
CS 325, Johnny W. and Sabra G. Turner property, flag lot. Property is located on the south side of Pride Baywood Road, east of Hall Road, Council District 1, Knoll. The applicant is F. DeWitt Ladner. The applicant is proposing a flag lot minor subdivision with 2 lots. Future BR land use designation is agricultural rural. CS 325, Johnny W. and Sabra G. Turner property, flag lot.
Staff certifies that the proposed request meets the minimum requirements of the Unified Development Code for Planning Commission consideration.
The Planning Commission office has received one message of concern on this item.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the public hearing and invite the applicant to speak for a period not to exceed 15 minutes. Is the applicant present? Seeing none, do we have any speaker cords on this item, Mr. Holcomb?
We have no additional speaker cards on this item.
Okay. With that being said, I will close the public hearing and invite any questions, comments, or motions from the commission.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
There's a motion on the floor from Commissioner Boyd to approve this item. I believe that motion was seconded by Commissioner Addison. Are there any objections or need for further discussion? Seeing none, that item has been approved, and we will move on to item number 15, initiation of text amendment requesting to modify language. I don't think I need to read that part.
I can read it. So this is a request from staff to initiate a text amendment, essentially to ask the planning commission to further look into this item regarding regulations for approval processes regarding fences and walls in existing platted neighborhoods and planned developments. This was brought to our attention with discussion with the building official in the permitting office, again, related to new fences and walls proposed in existing subdivisions where the UDC currently does not allow the same development pattern to continue. So in the next few months, if this is initiated successful by this body tonight, we'll draft up potential regulations, share those with the building official, and then put a draft on our website for our future agenda and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. I don't believe there are any speaker cards for this item.
That's correct. No speaker.
With that being said, we'll forego the public hearing and invite any questions, comments, or motions from the commission. I believe we have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Addison to approve this item. That motion has received a second from Vice Chairman Grout. Are there any objections or need for further discussion? Seeing none, this item has been approved, and we will move on to communications, beginning with director's comments.
Just a couple things to remind you of. The next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 17th. Also, the Planning Commission office will be closed on Monday, May 26th in observance of Memorial Day holiday. And I do need to point out that next month you will have an item on the Planning Commission agenda in June regarding an update and revisions to the PED-BOG master plan. I or Vance will email that document out. It is on the front page of our website for review now, but I will make sure each of you get an electronic copy for review prior to the next meeting.
Thank you, Director Holcomb. Does that conclude your comments? Thank you. We will move on to Commissioner's comments, and I will begin by congratulating our latest Employee of the Month, Annette Chambliss. As executive assistant, Annette works to support administration while also functioning as the quote-unquote business manager for the office. She handles the fiscal responsibilities of the Planning Commission, including payroll and purchasing. Annette gives frequent updates to staff regarding city parish procedures to make sure planning staff stay current as things change. Her attention to detail is very important when dealing with these internal policies. She is also the lead staff member who annually updates the Office of the Planning Commission's employee handbook. For her efforts to keep all staff on track, please join me in once again congratulating Annette. Are there any additional comments from other commissioners? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion from Commissioner Coleman, second from Commissioner Addison. Are there any objections? Seeing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.